I need to be somewhere soon, and the way it's looking, I won't make it.
Well, let me take a look. Maybe I can help. And by the way, I see you have antique license plates on her. Mr. Roberts' Cadillac is about 2 years away from getting them. I know he wants those plates real bad.
Edward, look at the radiator. You see it's overheated, and I just filled it up with antifreeze a month ago. I just can't figure it out.
Well, I think I know why. It feels like your fan belt is too loose. It's not turning the fan properly to cool off the radiator. You're lucky. I have my toolbox with me. Let me grab a wrench and tighten it up. There you go. It's nice and tight. It should be good now.
Wow, great job. Look at this young mechanic in the making. What gas station do you work for? Now, I know where to bring my car if something breaks down. Here's some money for your help.
No thanks. Please keep your money. I enjoyed fixing it, and I hope you make it where you want to go. Have a safe trip.
Well, with that, Robert Wilson and Edward return to the Eldorado that they're driving, and they continue on their way to Rutgers. They arrive at the university's entrance, where the college students meet them and give them a map with an itinerary of the activities and stuff planned for the day. Once Edward parks the car, Mr. Wilson asks him to join them, but Edward says, nah, no thanks, and tells him to go enjoy the day. He said he's going to get something to eat and stay with the car. As Mr. Wilson and Laura leave to join the Rutgers open house, Edward sees a food truck nearby. He goes there, gets some breakfast. Then he walks over to a nearby park bench and starts eating. He then sees the other Cadillac Eldorado that he had helped to fix, back on the highway. He was pulling into a nearby parking spot. Mr. Anthony Circa gets out of the car and waves at him. Edward walks up and says, "You made it! I knew you would." Mr. Circa then asks Edward if he's a student here. Edward says no, but he did apply for admissions to the Rutgers School of Engineering. Mr. Circa then asks, "Are you a good student? You think you'll get in?" Edward then said, "Well, I basically applied because Mom really wanted me to. I've got good grades, but honestly, we don't have the money for the tuition. So when I graduate here from high school, I've got plans in place to be a mechanic for one of the car dealerships near me. They've already offered me the job," he said. Well, Mr. Circa then said, "Well, good for you. You do know about cars. That much is true." He then says goodbye and off he goes. So, Edward sat back down on the park bench finishing his breakfast. With that, he saw a wallet on the ground near Mr. Circa's cart. So he quick went over, picked it up, and when Edward opened the wallet, he saw that the license inside had Mr. Circa's name on it, Anthony Circa. Edward also saw a business card that also said Anthony Circa, Rutgers University professor. Then Edward's cell phone rang. It was Mr. Wilson giving them a buzz.
Edward, I'm checking up on you. You should come here to the admission center. They have a complimentary breakfast for everyone. It's a huge spread. I'm sitting here alone eating because Laura saw some high school friends. They're all going into the lecture hall to hear about the different majors that Rutgers offers. So come here and sit with me. Grab a campus map and find the admission center.
So he hung up the phone while he was looking for the admissions center, I should say. Edward grabs a campus map, like he, was suggested to do. On the map, he sees the name Anthony Circa once again. It indicates that he's going to be giving a talk at the School of Engineering building. So Edward first decides to find Mr. Circa to return his wallet to him and then go track down Mr. Wilson. Edward finds the engineering building where Anthony is going to be giving a talk, and he asks the security guy where he can find him. They direct Edward to Anthony's office. He knocks on the door, opens it, no Anthony. So he opens up the desk drawer, puts the wallet inside. Edward then writes a small note saying, "I found your wallet by your car door, tried to find you, couldn't, so I left your wallet in the desk drawer. If you ever need a mechanic for that car, I work at Larry's gas station. Yours truly, Edward Davis." So with that, he then goes to meet up with Mr. Wilson. They enjoy the university's no-charge breakfast, that big, huge spread, together.
Edward, what took you so long? We're about 5 minutes from the parking lot. When I was younger, I went running if I heard there was free food. You know, I was a cook in the army. No matter where my unit went, I had to cook a good meal for them. Once I made soup out of a pair of old boots. Nah, I'm joking. But yeah, the soup did taste like it.
You know, I was thinking about signing up for the Air Force. I actually spoke to a recruiter. How cool would it be to become an airplane mechanic? Can you imagine working on those jets? The recruiter made it seem like it could really happen, but how could I be away from my family? They need me.
Edward, you're a good son. I understand you have responsibilities to your family. You've made many sacrifices for them. But look at this university. Are you sure you wouldn't want to come here and learn more? Being a mechanic is great, but can you imagine how you could change the world as an engineer? Education is the only thing that could ever be taken away from you, that can never be taken away from you. Listen, if I had an opportunity is ever offered to you, then take it. You only get one chance in life. Now go get me a donut.
Mr. Wilson's granddaughter, Laura, she finishes touring Rutgers, and the day comes to a close, and everybody gets in the car. They drive home. On the drive home, Laura talks about Rutgers and all it has to offer. She then kisses her grandpa's face and says, "Are you sure, Grandpa, that if they accept me, you'll have the money for my tuition?" Mr. Wilson says, "We will have a party and celebrate when you're accepted. I will be so proud of you." Of course he would. Edward then looks at Mr. Wilson and says, "She's so lucky to have a grandpa like you. I wish one day I could say that to my granddaughter." Laura then kind of snippily remarks, "No one's going to marry you. You're not even going to the prom. I heard Debbie wanted to go with you, but you told her no. You told everyone you said that you couldn't afford to take her and that you had to work." Well, okay. Time passed about a month or so, and Edward heard that Laura had been accepted to Rutgers. That's good. She began to invite all of her friends to the party that her grandpa promised her. And as the days went on, all the students posted about their college acceptances as well. Also, the prom was coming up. It was getting close. And Edward decided to ask Debbie to the prom and finally spend some money on himself and his date. Everything in Edward's life seemed like it was going as planned. Ho ho! He was happy. He accepted his fate, his lot in life, and then life happened again. Mr. Anthony Circa, the engineering professor from Rutgers, he showed up at Larry's gas station one day.
Hey, are you Larry? I'm looking for a young man who works here. Is Edward Davis in your garage? Can you get him?
Hey, Anthony, it's me. Is your car broken? Wow, good to see you. How did you know where I worked?
You told me in the note you left. I went really crazy looking for my wallet, which was in my drawer. I'm so lucky you found it and brought it to me. You have good character.
I actually wanted to give it to you myself, but security couldn't find you, and they told me you weren't in your office. I couldn't believe you're a professor at Rutgers. That campus is enormous.
Well, I stopped by to ask you something. You told me you applied to the School of Engineering, and let's just say I am an engineering professor. So I overviewed your application. You have good grades, scored well on the SAT. I'm sure with that, my recommendation, you will be accepted into the School of Engineering. What do you think? Are you interested?
Wow, that's great. But to be honest, my family doesn't have the tuition money. Instead, I will work at the car dealership because I need to work. I need to make money to help my family survive.
I got that feeling from you. So I asked a friend of mine for a favor. He is the director of Rutgers Maintenance Shop, which services all the university vehicles. I can get you a full-time mechanic job there. You can work and attend college as a full-time student. Listen, don't decide now. Talk to your family and let me know. It's an opportunity.
Anthony, why are you doing this for me? We only met once, and I'm a nobody. You don't have to do this because I fixed your car and found your wallet.
I'm not doing this for you. You did it all yourself. You think I was born a professor? I worked hard to get where I am. Life is about surviving, just like how you helped me. I am offering you my helping hand.
And there you have it, folks. And that's our Helping Hand show for today. We really do hope you've enjoyed it. Helping Hand was conceived by Joel Emil, who was also the writer of this episode, as always. And here are the actors and the characters they played here. Joel Emil, he played Edward Davis. Steve Tobus, he was Robert Wilson. Audrey Larson played Laura Carter. And Tim McGrath played Anthony Serkin. As we do each and every time, we want to give a big thank you to Gino DePiero of HamiltonRadio.net. He's our producer and our recording engineer. You can hear Helping Hand on HamiltonRadio.net every weekend, by the way. Me, as always, I'm your Uncle John Thielon, your host and narrator. Don't forget, as I always tell you, keep the faith, don't give up, don't ever give up. Your opportunity for success, positivity, and all that comes with it is closer than you think. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you next time on Helping Hand. So long.